In this video, we're going to talk about data validation. Data validation can help you control what kind of data that's put into your Excel spreadsheet. For example, we can restrict a cell to a certain range. We can also restrict it to a list of items we define. You may also restrict a number of characters, like the 2-character abbreviation for the state code I have here. Now let's apply some data validation to our worksheet. Now the first thing we're going to do is select the range I want to apply the data validation. I'm going to highlight the salary column. Now I'm going to go up to the data tab and then look for the data tools group. And I want to look for data validation. There's a line through a circle and also a check mark. Now, I'm going to click the top of this button to bring up data validation. Now, the data validation dialog box has 3 different tabs. The first tab is where you set your validation. And the input message is when someone selects the cell, you can give them a hint of the values you're expecting to go into that particular cell. And lastly, we have the error alert, where you can actually stop them from entering the wrong type of value if it disagrees with your data validation. You can also choose other options that will stop them, but they can also choose to put in a different value if there's a case for it where it's not on your list. Now, I'm going to put in a value here in the settings tab, and I'm going to choose whole number, and I want it between certain values. The value is going to be 30,000 to 120,000. So this is going to restrict what goes into this salary column. Now for the input message, I'm going to type in salary range, and then I'm going to type in a message. And the last thing we're going to do for this salary column is enter an error message if they put something outside of my validation range. Once I have those things entered in, I can click OK. So when I have one of the cells active, it gives me the input message I placed earlier. I can type in a value that's in my validation range, and it just enters normally. Now, if I choose something outside of the range, I get the error message. Now, there's no option to go outside of this range because I chose the stop symbol to stop people from putting in an outside value. Now, I'm just going to cancel this. Now let's put a validation for this area column. So I'm going to select the column as before and go back up to data validation. And this time I want to go to the settings menu, and we're going to choose list. Now in this case, I'm actually just going to type out the list because we only have 4 options. I want to limit the cell to only these 4 options. So I'm just going to type it out here. And I'm going to type an input message. Now for this area column, I'm just going to leave the title and error message blank, but I'm going to leave the style on stop. So I'm going to click OK. And you see my input message. I can select an area from the drop down. Now if I type something in that's not in the list, it will stop me from putting that value in there. Now you may also want to create a list out of text you already have. So that's what I'm going to do here for cities. I'm going to highlight the range, go to data validation, go to settings, and then choose list. Now this button is optional. If it's blocking the list I want to select, I can click on it and it will make it smaller, it'll collapse it, and then I can select the range I want to put in my dialog box. But if it's not in the way, you can just leave it open and then select your range. Now I'm going to switch to another sheet. Then I'm going to select this list of cities. Now I'm going to do this error alert differently. What I want to do is actually turn off the error alert. So it will give them the option to just type it in, and they can type in a value if it's not on the list I have in the cell. So I'm going to click OK. So I still have a list where I can click the drop down and select an item, but I can also type in a city and it's not going to have a problem with that. The last validation we're going to do is we're going to limit the cells to a 2-character state abbreviation. So I'm going to select the range, go back to data validation, and in this drop-down box, I'm going to choose text length. And we want it equal to 2 characters. I'm going to put it in input message. And for the error alert, I'm going to change the style to warning. Changing it to warning will allow someone entering data to actually override the validation. So I'm going to click OK. And you see the input message. If I put something in that is outside of the range, so it gives you the option to overwrite it instead of restricting them just to 2 characters. I hope you found this useful. Thank you for watching.